welcome to What Happens in This House Stays in This House, Strength Over Silence podcast. My name is Tammy Montgomery Dozier. I am your host once again. Thank you for listening. So this week, I want to talk about how to stop giving away your power and basically empowering yourself. For myself, I want to talk about how for years and years, I was always this yes person because I wanted to make sure that everybody in their life needed whatever they needed. Not that I didn't have to, I can't, listen, whatever you asked me to do, I was always, yes, I can do that. Now, if I needed help, I never asked because I felt that I was always self-sufficient and I can do it. And so I didn't need help, but I always felt that I could help other people. And I think that is such a wrong way to be for me, at least. And in doing so, I gave away my power being a yes person, thinking that my needs don't necessarily need to be met, that I can always help you to fulfill yours. So have you ever had somebody come to you and they said, well, can you do this and can you do that? You're like, well, why don't they have common sense? Or what makes them think that I can do all this stuff for them? The problem has been, it's not their fault. It's actually yours. I had to come to the realization that people thought that I could do all that stuff because I did it and I never said no. So how am I going to get mad at them? Because I set an expectation that I lived up for them in their eyes. Not that I wanted to do it or not, but I had them to believe that I was able to do it whether I wanted to. So I gave away pretty much all of my power to other people to make sure that they were okay. I did that in relationships. You know, sometimes you can do that on jobs where you're trying to help everybody else out, and then people take advantage of that. So sometimes we do those things just because it's innate with us, because maybe something happened in our lives where we don't feel like we're good enough or something, and we tend to do those things, and we give our power to people who don't deserve it. Even for me, when I was going away to college, so at first I wanted to be when I first got out of high school, I wanted to go into the Air Force. And my dad was like, well, you can't go into the Air Force. You got 5 feet and they don't accept people in the Air Force. And then when I was younger, I wanted to draw. And my dad was like, Dad, there ain't going to be nobody out there drawing. You can't do nothing with that. Then the Lion King came out. I was like, oh my God, look at this. You know, but I still can't blame him for that because if that's something I really, really wanted to do, I would have still done it. But sometimes people can put that seed of doubt, and it's sometimes just really easy to just say that something, oh, you know what, I don't think I can do it. And then you just go on with your life. And then you're told that go to college, get a degree, get a job, work somewhere for 30 years, and then retire. And that is the American dream, have kids, get married, and you will be happy because that is what life is about. And then you go around in life and you think that there's something wrong with you because you don't feel that there's something that's in you that you should be doing. And maybe you're following the path of others people's expectation instead of looking inside of yourself to find out what it is you should be doing. So you've given somebody else the power over you. Because for the longest, when I was growing up, people say, you're just so shy, you're so shy, you're so shy. And that is who I thought I was. So I allowed other people to define who I was. Like, okay, I'm shy. So I didn't go after a lot of things because I was so shy. I went to Jackson State and I wanted to be a JSET, but I thought I was too shy. And I was like, you know what? I can't do that. I can't go out for that. That's like one of my biggest regrets. I would say that I didn't go after that because I allowed my fears to get ahead. Nobody else's fault, because if it's something I really wanted to do, can't blame anybody else. I could have gone out for it and did it. So I'm saying this to say that I didn't start stepping into my power. I didn't start finding my voice until I got into my 40s. I'm going to say, until I found out who I was and the things that I can do and the things that I could accomplish. And people started saying, you know what, you can do this. Or the people believed in me and said, you know, there are other things that I can do in my life. For the most part, I always thought that I was a background person. And that's where I was most comfortable. Because see, when you're in the background, people don't have an expectation of anything for you to do but be in the background. So I had given pretty much all of my power away to everyone around me, and I didn't leave anything for myself. And that is what I did. And that's just to say, you know what? There's more out there for you. If you're going around listening to everybody telling you what you should and should not do, but there's something in your gut feeling telling you something different, then maybe you should do it. It took a long time before I realized that I was doing everything for everybody else. Like, okay, I would be at every gathering. I would be at all. I would just do everything for everybody till Tammy never did think about what Tammy wanted to do. And then after I started doing things for Tammy, then it looked like Tammy just didn't care anymore. But it wasn't that. It's just that Tammy found some things that I found some things that I wanted to do, and I found some things that I was good at. And I wanted to pursue those dreams. And there is nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong whatsoever. We wanted to change and wanted to do something different. And oftentimes it's us. So sometimes, like, say, for instance, we have that victim mentality. Have you ever met people like that? Every time it's always somebody else's fault. They play the victim and they don't stand on whatever it is that they believe. Sometimes you just got to make those choices, good, bad, or different, step out on fear and just go for it. Lead into your freedom. That was one of my biggest things, I think, for me, working within that environment. People say that I'm like quirky or whatever. I probably am, a little quirky. So it's like a freedom thing for me, being true to myself, being free to live the way I live and not have to feel that other people are judging me. And even if they are, that's okay. But I'm living in my truth. I'm living in my freedom. And that is perfectly okay. So what can you do to stop giving away your power? Hand it like when you're handing over your own personal power. Stop the process in its track. Whether you realize it or not, it is a process that requires us to actively return the emotional responses or decisions that other people make for us. Like sometimes if somebody asks you for a favor and they ask you to do something for them, step back, breathe, count to 10 and say, you know what? Is this something that I really want to do? That I really want to do? Or this is something, that they think that I should do. And sometimes it is just okay to use those 2-letter words, and that is no. N-O. I found out when you say no to people that they don't die. Can y'all believe that? I thought that if I said no, that it wouldn't get done. And you find out that they actually live. And it is okay. And it is okay to make choices for yourself. It is okay. And if not, is everybody going to like them? No, not at all. And those are the things that you just have to live with. So this is what I want you to listen to. T.D. Jakes talks about stop giving away your power. Listen to it, people.
These things in the world to get you to do is to acknowledge what you got. You know why? We are trained to meet somebody who acknowledges what we've got. If I could just meet somebody, and we love people who see stuff in us. Isn't it crazy? Isn't it important? You go out on a date or you make a friend or you interact with somebody and they start telling you all of your qualities and you just soak it up like a sponge. And you say, oh, do you think so? Really? Oh, isn't that wonderful? We love people who see stuff in us. But you cannot climb the ladder off of somebody else's thoughts. In fact, we spend so much time trying to manage what other people think that we don't have any time to think ourselves. We want everybody to think well of us. But let me tell you something. Just because I think you're an airplane doesn't make you fly. Just because I think your car doesn't make you drive. Just because I think you're ugly doesn't make you ugly. Just because I think you're beautiful doesn't make you beautiful. Maybe you're giving your power away to other people, entrusting them, oh yes, entrusting them to give you something that you ought to be giving yourself. Maybe it's skewing your judgment, because if somebody comes along and they say the right things and they feed into who you are, you fall in love with them over what they saw. And then you don't even find out who they are until it's too late. You roll over and you look at them and say, oh, God. Maybe it is not their ideas that need to be reshaped, but your own. Because you are where you are through the thoughts that you think. The difference between the CEO and the janitor is what he thinks. The difference in the status and the income and the accomplishment is in the thoughts that they think. That's the only absolute differences in the thoughts that they think. I wonder what you need to be thinking about yourself and your family and your friends and your life to maximize who you are and live your life to the fullest. And then when you meet people, you're not so hungry and so desperate for them to tell you something because you have fed yourself before you met them.
So what did you guys think about that? I love that. I love that sometimes people say, well, you can do this and you can do that. And we just buy into it and we feed into what they're telling us who we can be versus feeding into ourselves and saying what we can be. We're letting somebody else validate us instead of us validating ourselves. And that's all it's about, empowering who you are, knowing that you know who you are. Might not be what everybody else thinks who they believe who you are. It's who you believe who you are and who you were created to be. And all I can say is that is the most freeing thing, to live and be who you are, to empower yourself to know that it is okay if I say no. It is okay if everybody don't like me. That is perfectly fine. And the world still moves on. And the people still live on. As that saying goes, people are in your life for a reason and a season. Those people who started out with you, even remember when you were in high school and that freshman year when you first got there, they said, y'all are y'all friends now. But eventually, as you go through and you meet people and when you get to be a sophomore, then you're going to start having friends who are seniors and all these different things. That's the same thing with life. You may start out in it together, but everybody else may have different views and different things that they want to do. And that is perfectly okay. Support and move on. Not everybody's going to understand where you're headed. That the greatness that you have and you have to spread out and you just can't take it anymore. You can't not sit back and just diminish yourself to make other people feel good about who they are. So this is about stop allowing people to diminish who you are, empower yourself, and to move on. All right, guys, thank you again for listening to What Happens in This House Stays in This House, Strength Over Silence podcast. I am your host, Tammy Montgomery Dozier. You can reach me at 773-251-5537. My website is www.connectedbyloveconsulting.net. You can find my books on Amazon.com, Addicted to Pain and From Fast to Freedom, False Allegiance to Destructive Stuff. I'm working on new stuff as well. Again, people, thank you for listening. Thank you for being faithful. Create a great week.